Okay, got it. Good to go.
Hello, and I'm glad we're good to go. Welcome to Inspiring Hope. I'm your host, Lois Herman. And if you're looking for ways to lift your life, you've come to the right place. Today, I'm joined by a very special and inspirational person, someone who's made a personal difference for me and for many, many others. Gregg Hoffman is a wonderful personal trainer from Urban Pump who believes in the high strength program. And I'm living proof that it works. So, welcome. Let's bring him on and I'll share my story and let you know what's happened with me. Hi, Gregg.
Hi, how are you?
I am good. I am really good. And you know what? So many people comment that I look younger.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and I think you're part of the problem. You're part. I can blame you for part of that, right?
Yes, you can.
Oh my goodness! I just want to share with everybody that's listening. I am living proof that the program that Gregg has me on is amazing. I
Thank
have
you.
long been a dancer. I've never been one to do workouts because I have multiple back injuries. Would love to do yoga, but have never been able to because I can't get on the floor without hurting myself. So I saw Gregg, I saw you at one of the truth tours, and you were holding up that big thing of fat versus the lean muscle. And I was looking at that and going,
Yes.
that would really be nice, but I don't think I could ever do this. Not me, not at this age. And you know
Yeah.
what? Um, Last summer, I went to a family reunion. There's your kitty. And
Yes.
I found myself almost unable to get in and out of the car without having to pause and stop. Pain in my hips, pain in my back. And just I just felt like I was a decrepit old lady. And I'm pushing 70. It's coming close this year, but I was feeling like this is it. This is just what it's going to be.
Mm,
And so talking to your lovely wife, she says, why don't you try this? So I thought, well, okay. And you were on my show. You and Sharon were
yes.
on my show last summer. And
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to try it. Well, what is this, 4 or 5 months into it? Let me just
Yeah.
say, I just want to say that the pain is gone. I can move. I can in and out of cars and chairs and lifting and climbing stairs. The pain is like gone. And this has been many, many years of pain. And things like lifting, I can, bend over and pick things up without moaning and bending,
Yes.
lifting. Um, and I have to say, Gregg, this is the first time in my life that I shed some weight over the Christmas holidays.
Wow, really?
A pound, but hey, it's better. It's better than putting on 3 or 5.
Yes, true that. That's
So many
huge.
things, so many things. And the wearing some clothes that I can now fit into that I thought I was almost going to get rid of all of the smaller sizes because thinking this is just my plight in life that I will never change. And I know even watching you when you did that presentation, I thought, I can't do this.
Mm,
Guess what,
yeah.
guys? You got me doing it, and I am excited. So tell us about what is the high strength? What is it that's working for me and for others that is different than the average gym rat kind of that's Sharon's words.
Gym
Uh,
rats, yes,
yeah,
yes.
kind of program because I do this and I'm going to see the little bands right here on my door. I do this right here in my office. I stick the bands in my door and it's just all kinds of fun. And it's only 20 minutes, 2 times a week.
2 times a week. You got that right.
So
Yep.
tell us about this program. Why is it working for me when nothing else has worked?
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thank you for everything you've said. Um, to start off with, I'd like to say that the main reason why the aches and pains went away is really the same problem most people have when they start getting these aches and pains. They've simply lost muscle.
Mm,
And they've lost enough to where the joints and the connective tissues tend to take up more of the workload during the course of the day instead of the muscles, because the muscles just aren't there like they used to be.
hmm
And that's why you got a lot of aches and pains.
hmm
If you can build some of that muscle back, you get a lot more structural stability throughout the whole body. And the aches and pains just tend to go away with that. People are real confused when it comes to exercise. Here's the main confusion I think that's out there. People think that you need to do tons of cardio, for example, to get in great shape. And that if you do strength training, you do moderate weight, light repetitions, or high repetitions, moderate weight, or low weight, and all of that is for a fit lifestyle. Well, the problem with that thinking is that even when you do those kinds of training, you're still going to lose muscle mass. And it's the muscle mass loss that leads to the lack of mobility as we age, lack of ability able to do anything. So if it's okay, I'd like to backtrack a little bit and talk a little bit about the program, how it came into being. I've been in the business for 30 years, and the reason why I got involved in the fitness industry, it's rather ironic. I used to be a gym rat, like what Sharon talks about. I was in the gym an hour and a half a day, 4 or 5 days a week. I was doing what everybody was doing. I would be, for example, when I do my weightlifting, I would split my body parts up. I would do, let's say, chest and triceps one day. Then I'd go in the gym again the next day, and I might do back and biceps. And then on Wednesday, I'd go in and do my legs. And then rest Thursday, and then start the process all over again. They say you got to have some rest, although they have no idea what they mean by rest and recovery, because they way overtrained. But anyway, I was doing that. Then they also said, and this is the muscle magazines, and all my gym rats were saying this, that if you want to lose body fat, well, you need to go out and do cardio. So on top of all that strength training I was doing cardio in the evenings. I would go out and jog after I'd hang out with my friends after having a few beers, because I didn't want to get fat, that whole thing. Well, there wasn't much change in my body during that whole time, and none at all. And my goal was really to get a big muscular body. I wanted to be like the bodybuilders. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How old were you then? If you were also young, right? Because
I was young. Okay. Yes, I was 24, 25 years old. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, and that's a good caveat. Because that is when I started. That's when I really got involved in the fitness industry, and these are the reasons why. But what's interesting about, as I got older, I learned how to modify the training program to keep a youthful, fit body without doing very much exercise. But it really started from here. Anyway, I was doing all of that and not seeing much change in my body. I did want to have that big muscular body. I still like to have a muscular body, but I wanted to be within the context of my genetic potential, not like the bodybuilders that you see that are taking steroids. But back then I did, because we didn't know that. The bodybuilders and the muscle magazines said, well, you got to do my training program, you're going to get big muscles. So we did it, and none of us got those kind of muscles. Later is when I found out, well, they've taken steroids.
That's right.
So if you take steroids, you could be in the gym 4 or 5 hours a day and see progress. It changes the physiology so much. But I digress. I didn't see much change. And then I came across a book. Ironically, it was called Super High Intensity Bodybuilding. It was written by Ellington Darden. I saw it in my local health food store when I'd go there. I saw it for a few weeks. One day, curiosity did get the better of me, and I decided to open up the book and read the first couple of pages. And it was a shock to me, because what this author said went against what all the gym rats were telling me. I've been working out for about 4 or 5 years at this point. Then the main points that he made in his book are this. He said you need to train the whole body the same day. You need to spend no more than 45 minutes per workout. You should do no more than 3 sets per body part. In many cases, it's better to do just one. And then he said you need to train hard. And then he said the next thing you need to do is get out of the gym and rest for at least 48 hours, maybe 72 hours. Then he said if you do not do that, then what you're going to do is put the body in an overtrained state. You're going to go backwards instead of forwards. None of my gym rat friends were telling me this. Really surprised me. So I bought the book and I started applying the principles, and I'll be darned if it didn't work. It worked so well that 6 months later, when I went to a dinner party with a bunch of my friends I haven't seen for a while, they were all surprised at the difference they saw in my body. I'd gained probably about 7, maybe 8 pounds of muscle at that point. And this is the first time I gained any muscle anytime. And I cut my whole workout routine down 60, 70% at that point. So I read everything I could from these guys. And not only did they take these same basic principles and apply it towards men who wanted to have that muscular physique, they took the same basic principles and applied it toward athletes, and they were very successful in helping them improve their sports performance capability. And then they also wrote a couple books and put some women through the course too. And this is, I think, the one that shocked me more than anything. They put the women through the high intensity training program, had them train hard, and they were able to get a more toned, shapely, defined body. They didn't get that big, bulky look that I thought that they would get, and that what everybody else says. So, man, I was hooked. That's how I started telling my friends. That's how I got involved in the business. I started training my friends, and eventually they all said you really should start making a business out of this. That's where it started. And of course, during the course of time doing that, I also studied under a couple other gurus. Another guy named Paul Chek was very influential in the fitness industry about 20, 25 years ago. And he's the one who really taught us a lot about the core training piece and functional exercise, and even some post-rehab issues that can really help bring about a full fitness. So I combine what I learned from Ellington Darden and Arthur Jones with what Paul Chek was teaching and created my own program. I call it the high strength training program. So it's a kind of a hybrid of two different philosophies that I put together in my own system. You won't find it anywhere else. You're going to find the high intensity training camp. They're still out there. These guys that say you need to train hard, hit the muscles, like what I talk about, but they're big into doing it just that, using machine training mainly, and not worrying about core functional training. They just don't think that that's necessary, so they don't put it in. Paul Chek, on the other hand, was big on core training. He was very influential about functional exercise, functional training, how to make that effective. And so I combined both of those. And once again, created my own thing, the whole high strength thing. So here to me is what's the most important thing when it comes to anti-aging and keeping your body healthy and fit as you age. More so than anything else, it's building muscle. And the reason being is that we do lose muscle throughout our whole lives. It actually starts gaining momentum around our 40s or 50s. And if we don't do anything to address that, it really gets to be a big problem when we get in our 60s and 70s. We actually do lose muscle. And there comes a point where if we lose that muscle, if it atrophies so much, it is gone. It can't come back. And that's where people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s have real problems with mobility, with joint stability, getting injured easy, and just not having much strength to get throughout the course of the day.
And falling. Both of my parents ended up passing away as a result of falls.
Yes.
And I have been clumsy most of my life. I have had a lot of falls, broken my wrist, injured my ankles a couple of times with falls. So that was the other thing that I was concerned about, was I don't want to be that old person who's going to fall and break something. And so that was another thing that really intrigued me. And I want to just add one other thing about, I was dancing at least once a week before COVID hit. So over the past several years, how many of us have gone sedentary as a result of the COVID situation?
Yes.
A lot more people are sedentary, are putting on weight, and are losing their muscle, in addition to just normal aging, right?
That's right. That's right. That's all interrelated. You're spot on with that. Ironically, you could even be active and you can still lose muscle mass. And this is a point I want to make clear to the audience, anybody who's listening. You can be active, you could still lose muscle mass. And there can come a point, once again, if you lose that, you can't gain that back. And here's the reason why. It boils down to the types of muscle fibers we have. We have slow twitch fibers and we have fast twitch fibers. Slow twitch fibers produce low levels of force. They do for great lengths of time. They are the muscle fibers that we call on when we do low intensity activity, biking, hiking, jogging, walking, things along those lines. Fast twitch fibers, on the other hand, produce large amounts of force and then do it in a short amount of time. They kind of burn out. As a matter of fact, it's incredibly demanding on the body to recruit those fast twitch fibers. And in all honesty, if the body doesn't have to recruit the fast twitch fibers, it will not recruit the fast twitch fibers because it doesn't want to go through that recovery process. But here's the thing. You could train the slow twitch fibers all you want. You could go out, jog, hike, bike, all you want. You're still going to lose muscle mass. You're still going to lose those fast twitch fibers. And it's the fast twitch fibers that bring about strength, stability, injury prevention, higher quality of life, all of those things. You want to keep your fast twitch fibers to be able to do that. The slow twitch fibers cannot do that. They're just not designed to work that way. So unless you do some intense work, strength training work, weightlifting work, you're going to lose the fast twitch fibers. So in my opinion, if there's one form of exercise that's a true fountain of youth, it is strength training. It's not doing all that cardio stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, cardio is good. It's good in its own right, but it's limited in what it can do.
Mhm.
And its big limitation is the loss of fast twitch fibers unless you do some direct work for that. Here's a good example, a couple examples I want to use. One is Sharon's dad, actually, ironically. I worked with him for a little while, about 3 or 4 months in his 80s, late 70s, early 80s, somewhere around that time, because he wanted me to help him with this strength training program. And in that 3 months time, I wasn't able to put on much strength at all, maybe 5–10%. He just was very weak, and he had strong limitations on that front, very weak core along those lines too. On the other hand, I've got a client I'm still working with. I've been working with for 30 years now. When he first came to see me, he was in his 50s, and in that first year and a half I worked with him, we were able to get up to a 1,000-pound leg press. He
What?
still see me 1,000 pound. Yes, you heard
What?
that right.
Wow.
Yes, and he's 70, late 70s now, and if he wanted to, he still could do a 1,000-pound leg press. Now, here's the crazy thing. Those two are my big compare and contrast clients that I've had. The big thing is that Sharon's dad wasn't sedentary. It wasn't like he was sitting on his butt his whole life. He was very active. He did a
Mhm.
lot of biking, hiking, jogging, cycling, never did any strength training.
Mhm.
My other client, on the other hand, does the cardio stuff,
Mhm.
but he's done strength training up the whole 20–25 years.
Mhm.
And there's a marked difference in his quality of life. He still has no problem getting up and down stairs, very mobile, very active for his
Mhm.
age.
Mhm.
The other example I like using, it really honestly is myself. I feel like I'm an ongoing guinea pig with all of this. I've come to this conclusion uh, about strength training and being the true fountain of youth of any form of exercise. I believe that for over 20–25 years now, particularly after reading a lot of what Ellington Darden and Arthur Jones had to say. It just made the most sense to me. So I bet my fitness on that
Mhm.
back 30 years ago. 30 years later, I'm still able to lift the same amount of weight now as I was back then. My mobility and my quality of life is just as good now as it was back then. I have yet to see a drop off on my strength, my stability, my endurance, any of those things. It's still just as good now as it was 30 years ago. And I suspect it'll be just as good in another 10–15 years. There's going to come a point to where it's going to drop off. I'm aware of that. We age, that's just going to happen. But that drop off is going to be a lot slower, and it's going to last a lot longer. For example, I believe that I'll still be able to do an 800-pound leg press in my 80s, maybe even in my 90s. I really think there's going to be that much of a difference. Now, another thing that's interesting on this is that Shannon and I got in a motorcycle accident about a year ago. And we ran into a deer. It was a pretty traumatic experience for both of us.
Wow.
But we were able to get back on the bike and continue the rest of the trip. We were banged up, but we were able to finish it. We didn't have any broken bones, no
Mhm.
torn ligaments, none of that. And I am sure that if we had not done strength training, that would have been a different story. As a matter of reference, the fact that I've lifted weights and maintained and built my muscle, I guesstimate that I've built about 20 pounds of muscle, maybe a little bit more from when I first started working out to now. The average guy would be losing half a pound of muscle from age 50 on up to this point now. So I speculated that if a sedentary bicep biker was on that bike as compared to me, there was about a 30–35 pound difference of muscle on my frame as
Mhm.
compared to his. He would have got injured. He would have broken something. I have no
Right.
doubt about that. So, in my opinion, strength training is it. You have to train hard, you have to build muscle, you have to work the fast twitch fibers, and you have to be consistent with that. But if you do that, your quality of life is through the roof. It's night and day.
And one of the other things that I didn't even say is my amount of energy
Mhm.
has increased exponentially. I have energy in spades. I used to, by 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, I was fast asleep on the couch, could not move. And now there are times when I'm resting on the couch, but I'm still doing something. I just have so much more energy. And you had an explanation for that. That really has surprised me, my level of energy, how much more I'm able to do, how just physical and mental, all of it.
Yes. That's simply just the difference of reserve capacity. The fact that you've done strength training and you've built up your body's physical capability to a much higher level than baseline, that to get through the course of the day, daily activities are just simply a lot easier because you've still got a lot more reserve. And so it just doesn't take as much effort to do what you used to do. And so you got plenty of energy to be left with the rest of the day. Another thing that I think happens is that it's improving mitochondrial function, not only in the slow twitch, but the fast twitch fibers too. So your energy systems just run a little bit more efficiently. Now, once again, cardio does that, but cardio only does that with the slow twitch fibers. It doesn't build fast twitch fibers and work on the mitochondrial function of the fast twitch fibers. So it's just like adding a little bit more to the tank of energy reserves by doing the strength training piece. As a matter of fact, Arthur Jones and Ellington Darden were real big on not doing hardly any cardio at all. They just thought strength training a couple of days a week was really all we need to have a good, fit, shapely, high functioning body. I agree with them. I do very little cardio. And it's for that reason. When I do it, I can do it and it's not a problem, but I feel like I'm wasting my time. That is better. If it's just better until I rest, until I do my hard workout when I'm ready to do my hard workout.
What I've noticed is as far as cardio, I used to not be able, I live on a hill. And so Kurt and I used to walk, and it would take him, when I got to the end of the small street that I live on, I had to pause. I did not have the breath power. I did not have the stamina. I would have to wait. Kurt, in the past, my husband has been a marathon runner, so he's got a lot more strength than I do. So he would have to pause and walk in place or whatever while I would catch my breath. I can now keep up with him. This is huge.
That is huge.
It really
huge.
is.
Yes.
That I have the endurance I used to think, well, it's just that I have bad, I definitely have some compromised issues with lungs from other things. But it's been amazing, the endurance, the ability to walk more longer so I can actually do more cardio and enjoy it.
And enjoy it, yes.
And the other thing is, you wrote a book called Lose the Menopot.
Yes.
And that was one of those things that I was like, yep, baby, I got my menopot going here. Well, guess what? My menopot is shrinking. I was going to actually take my measurements, because you had me take measurements before, and be able to say, this is how, quantify how it has changed. But I tell you what, I have noticed a substantial difference, and it is amazing. And this is not, 20 minutes, you can do that.
20 minutes 2 times a week.
Yeah, it's friggin' doable. Sorry.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. You only need 2 20-minute workouts a week. Wow. I've been training this way for 30 some odd years. I still only do 2 workouts a week, 20 minutes at a shot. And I'm very, very strong. You don't need more volume to see better progress. You just need to make what you do count. Right. And really, that's the difference between this program and I think what just about anybody else out there does. There's this whole concept that to get better, you have to do more. Well, let's think that out to the logical conclusion. So if you want to be in the best shape of your life, then there will come a point where you're exercising something like 3 or 4 hours a day every single day if the more is better paradigm works. And that's just not true. There comes a point of diminishing returns. There comes a point of overtraining. And when you put the body in an overtrained state and you still fight through it, that's when you start getting a lot of these chronic injuries, tendonitis, arthritis, osteoarthritis, wasting away of muscle, ironically, because the body is going to feed on itself to just get through the day and the energy demands you're putting on it, it goes the other way. So the more is better thought on exercise really isn't the way to go. It's making what you do count.
Well, and the other thing that I've noticed, my husband is training with you as well, and his workout is very different than mine. You have tailored based on my limitations.
Yes.
I mean, he's got different limitations than I do, but the workout that you do with me, I can do.
Yes.
If I were to try and do this on my own, I would probably injure myself.
Yeah, I would
agree.
agree.
You have been able to watch what I do and and create the whole program based on my unique needs. And I really appreciate that.
Oh, it's my pleasure. If I can expand on your thinking about that, that is where I think the Paul check and the fact that I've actually took physical therapists out for coffee back in the day because I just wanted to garner as much information as I can, and I really learned a lot about rehab and post rehab issues. And I had some of those myself. For example, I had a herniated disc that was really, really bad and was very debilitating. And I went to a physical therapist, top-notch physical therapist, and I was able to rehab. It took a year, but I was able to rehab through his guidance. And while I was working with him, I questioned him a lot. I learned a lot more about how the body works, how it doesn't work when things shut down, and what you can do to bring it back. And it's part of that brings about the customization of your program. It's these little pieces that I know Sharon does too, because she went through my training program. And any trainer that does go through my training program will learn
Right.
these things. But
Right.
it's those small, subtle changes that you can do on a person's workout to make it injury free and still effective for that person, but
Mhm.
still with the same basic principles of doing a strength training program.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
And that's huge because, like I said, I've tried yoga a couple of times, even with personal trainers or personal yoga
Instructors, yeah,
instructors, and ended up in extreme debilitating pain.
yeah,
And I have not, I mean, I've been a bit dewy after the sessions and a little bit achy on occasion, but for the most part, I have a boost in energy, which is really wonderful. So I can't say enough. And there was something else that came to mind that I was going to say, and it will come back.
okay.
Yeah,
All right, so let me talk a little bit more about the program.
sure.
Well, I think one of the challenges I have in trying to explain this program to people and how it works is it can be a bit intimidating when I explain it, because there's a lot of people I know when they listen to me and they say, well, I can't do this workout. It's too intense for me. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't fit my lifestyle. I think that's what you experience when you listen to me do the lecture tour.
Mhm.
Before I explain about how this program works on a physiological level, I do want to be clear with anybody who's listening to this is that this applies to everybody. The only difference is that where you start and what your limitations and what your ultimate potential is makes all the difference. And the other thing that makes the difference is your psyche. Where is your head
Mhm.
as far as where you want to train and how intense you want to go? But with all those things considered, strength training, intense strength training, if it's done right, is good for everybody. That I have not met a single person that could not have benefited from doing a strength training program that came through here. Now I do think there's a lot of psychological factors. Um, and it's okay with that. You just need to be clear about what your goals are and where you want to go. An example on this is every now and then I'd get a new prospect that would come in and say, well, I want to put on X amount of pounds of muscle. I want to lose X amount of pounds of fat. They seem real motivated at first. I explain, well, here's the process we need to go through to get you there. And there's been a few times that about 8 or 10 sessions in, they really start sandbagging their workouts.
Mm.
They don't do as I tell them to do. They start sandbagging on the set. They start getting a little sloppy with the form, what have you. And then, or another thing is they start skipping their appointments.
Mm.
Well, I know what's going on in that case is that there's some dissonance. They're getting to the point in the workout where they're realizing that if they want to get to where they want to go, they're going to have to put much more intensity into it and what they're doing, and they may not be willing to do that. So instead of addressing it, they'll just kind of skirt the issue and really not do what it takes.
Mhm.
When I see that, that's when I sit down and have a conversation with them. I'll say, look, these were the goals that you expressed when you came in. I am pushing you that direction. And I'm starting to get some real resistance here. And then I would ask them, okay, well, why? What's going on? If for example, you're finding that the intensity is too much for you to reach your goals, there's nothing wrong with that. Let's just readjust your goals and readjust the workout based on your new goals. Because the way I look at it is if somebody comes in, they start strength training, and within 6 months, everybody can see a marked improvement in their physical capability.
Mhm.
Even if they stop increasing their strength at that point, they would be much, much better off than they were before, as far as losing body fat, gaining a little bit of muscle, reshaping the body, having energy, the things that you're experiencing. That's all good. And if that's all they're after, or if they have to adjust their goals to meet where their mind is, well, that's fine. I think it's just something people need to be clear about. Your strength training is valuable, it's important, but do tailor it to the way your body is, tailor it to what your limitations are physically, and also tailor to where you are psychologically. Don't be afraid to look at everything and make it a holistic approach when you come to strength training.
So I remember what I was going to say earlier. I have, like I said, I've got multiple back injuries. I typically see a chiropractor once a week. I have for years. I'm seeing my chiropractor every other week. And when I see him and he does a lot of different types of adjustments, he's like, your body is completely different. It's so much stronger. He doesn't have to do as much in order to keep me strong. I mean, I'm going, but I don't feel like I need to go. I'm going as a preventative, and I can see at some point moving to maybe every 3 weeks.
Yep.
But that's huge.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so that's, to me, that's a health benefit. This is about my health.
Yes.
And I mean, I was acquiesced to, well, I'm a little fluffy, extra fluffy, but now I'm also using, and I want to segue into this and mention this, I'm also doing the intermittent fasting
Oh yeah.
and
Good.
drink. I've always drank alkalized water, but Sharon's fat bombs. I love her fat bombs. So she's
Yes.
going to have a fat bomb class in a couple weeks, and I
Yep.
encourage everybody to take this class
Oh yes.
because I love my chocolate, and now I can have a fat bomb. But
Mhm.
even through the holidays, I'm not interested in all the sweets. That has shifted in me. For many, many years, I've liked mostly chocolate, but now I
Yeah.
can pass it right by. I don't reach for it. It's an interesting, like you're talking about that mental switch. I'm a hypnotist. I teach people to shift their mind talk. I'm like, yeah, well, whatever. I'm still going to have my chocolate. So this has been powerful. And I think that the strength training, the exercise, the energy reserves, and the feeling like it's working has made
Hmm.
a difference in my mental,
Mo
emotional, psychological resolve.
yes.
It has
Yes.
been it's inverse to what you're saying. And there was one time I was not feeling well for a little bit, and you lowered, we still did the training, but it was less intense. And you said, well,
Yes.
we can lessen it down for a little bit. And it was fine. You don't have
Yes.
to push through if your body is recovering from a minor something.
Yes,
Oh,
exactly. I call those a feel-good workout.
okay.
Sometimes you just need a feel-good workout. Back
Mhm,
off the weight, the intensity, go through it, just get a nice good burn, get the heart rate up a little bit and just get the blood flowing and then
mhm,
quit. And
mhm,
it goes a long way towards rejuvenating the body. And you've stuck with the training program. You didn't
mhm,
skip a workout.
mhm,
I do that. I do that myself probably once every 4 or 5 months where
mhm.
I'll just do a light workout and leave it at that.
Yeah.
Or when I'm coming back from being sick or overstressed
Mhm.
from the one reason or another, I'll back off on the intensity and just get through the workout in a way that feels good,
Yeah.
rejuvenating. Yeah,
Mhm.
good stuff.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I can, and I have recommended this to many people, and I see people my age and younger that are, oh, I'm just old. I'm just getting old. This is just the plight. This is, oh, woe is me. This is what it's going to be. And that was my attitude when I watched you. I'm like, I wish I could, but there's no way I'm going to do that. I'm doing it.
Yes, you
It's
are.
amazing. It
Yes.
truly is. And to feel different in my body, to also have I'm also noticing when I first started working out with you, I was clumsy as all get out with,
Mhm.
how to pull things, how to lift. I'm lifting. I started with what, 2 pound weights. I'm doing
Yeah.
20-pound weights now. That's huge for me. But I notice that my muscles are engaging.
Mhm.
I can feel my muscles engaging in my body, stronger, healthier. I just feel younger than I've felt in a long, long time.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Thank you. I'm happy to hear that.
No, thank you.
My pleasure.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
are there any questions? Any?
Not from me. I am,
Okay.
of course, you know me, I ask questions all the time as we go, but just people need to hear that they can feel better.
Yes.
And you need to start somewhere. Start
Yes.
small, start somewhere because you don't want to wait until you're, into 80 and you're falling and you've broken your hip and
You've
you're
broken your
this,
hip.
you're that.
Yeah.
You need to get your body, those fast twitch fibers that I thought, well, mine
That's
are
right.
probably long since gone, but guess what? They did wake up. Some
They
of them,
woke up.
yeah,
Yep.
some of them
Yep.
have woken up. So it's never too late
Yes.
to reclaim health. And my background as a hypnotist and a spiritualist, I've spent most of my life studying mind and spirit and
Hmm.
emotion, not so much the body. I mean, I've been doing alkalized water for 20 years and supplements and all that, but it's not the same as actually working the body.
Right. And working it in the right way.
Yeah.
Working it in the right way.
Eating healthy, going, getting my eggs and dairy from the local dairy farmer,
Yes.
that kind of stuff.
Yes.
You've got to, and this is stuff that I'm learning from Sharon, which
Yeah.
is great. You've got a great team. So,
Oh yeah. I feel blessed. I think we're doing
yeah.
very, very well with our knowledge and what we're putting together. And
Hmm.
I agree with you. The food needs to be much more local. It needs to be
Yeah.
home cooked.
Hmm.
Don't be afraid of lard and saturated fats, people. It's
Hmm.
actually good for the body.
Hmm.
Um, so anyway, let me talk a little bit about efficient way to strength train.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't.
Call you.
What's that?
Call you at Urban Pump.
Yes, let's leave it at that. I know
Yes.
I can get into it. But I do have a question for you. Remember when you were telling me that the one guy that you talked to about exercise and the difference between the fast twitch and slow twitch fibers after we were talking? He says, yeah, oh yeah, I know about the fast twitch and slow twitch fibers. And he says, well, I think I prefer to train the slow twitch fibers first. Any idea what's he's thinking? Is there a time frame for him to train slow twitch fibers and then never get to the fast twitch fibers? It's funny that he said that.
Well, I have to tell you, that was my chiropractor who is now saying,
Oh,
wow, I am seeing a major difference in your body. Chiropractors
wow.
know your body, like a personal trainer will know your body. He knows my body. I mean, he
Yeah.
adjusts my face, everything. And he's like, your body is completely different.
Well,
Yep.
have him give me a call if he's curious as to how I was able to help
Yeah,
you with that.
absolutely. So I will, so urbanpump.com, I will be
Yes.
sharing that on the, in the text, and also definitely mark your calendar to join Sharon on the 17th, I believe it.
Yes.
No, I'm sorry, it's the 15th.
You have to see that she's got amazing fat bombs, and they're real treats. After we have our meal, that's when we have our fat bomb, and it really is like having a dessert, just a very rich, delicious dessert. And it doesn't give you the insulin spike that regular desserts do. Good stuff.
Yes, and I just fibbed. It's Monday the 22nd. That is when she's doing her fat bomb class.
Cool.
You'll find it on the website, and I'll put it in the text as well. But you two are amazing. You've made a huge difference in my life, and I'm thrilled to have Sharon part of my team as well. So she's been doing an incredible job
That
with
she
us.
has.
Yeah.
I can
Yes.
tell. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, this has been wonderful, and I just wanted to just shout out to you, Gregg, and the work you're doing. And people need to
Thank
reach
you.
out and don't wait until it's too late. Don't wait until you've hurt yourself. You can get stronger. You can
Start.
recover from the COVID fluff.
Yes. Start. Just start. Take that
Just
first step.
start. Yeah,
Yep.
give
Yep.
you a call. All right.
All righty.
All right. And now what I like to tell everybody is until next time, look up, stay positive, and be the light in someone's day.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. You're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Till next time.
All righty.